everybody. We are here at the New York Public Library. This is the main branch of the New York Public Library. So we actually have over 90 libraries that are a part of this system. Second largest library in the United States after the Library of Congress.
Hey.
Hey! So this dates back to the early 1900s. That was when we first started getting the construction and the plans going. Believe it or not, up until then, New York did not have a public library system. So there were two large private libraries in the city at the time. There was the Astor Library and the Lenox Library. Those collections were combined to become the foundation of the New York Public Library main branch. Andrew Carnegie stepped in and donated $1 gazillion to start building the branch libraries. That's the
Carnegie
exact
money.
amount, the $1 gazillion, to start building all of the branch libraries in the neighborhoods. They spent about a year just moving the books into place in this building because they had over a mile of shelving built in. They were moving about 1 million books into this building. So it's an absolutely gorgeous building. We have our lions out here in front. They are setting the example by wearing their masks, and I think they look adorable.
Precious.
So those are our lions, patience and fortitude. That one is patience, that one is fortitude, in case it matters to you.
The South is patience, the North is fortitude.
I think it's important to know.
Absolutely. Now, Katie, why are they named patience and fortitude?
Well, they weren't originally. They were named Astor and Lenox after the two families who created this library with their collections. But during the Great Depression, the mayor of New York, Fiorello LaGuardia, said that patience and fortitude were the qualities that New York would need to get through this time. New York had been extremely hard hit, like much of the country, by the Great Depression. And so our lions got their new names. Now they're patience and fortitude, and in my mind, they have very distinct personalities.
Absolutely. And of course, patience and fortitude are two qualities that we kind of believe New York needs once again now to get through the pandemic.
So
currently.
That's why they're out here standing guard on Fifth Avenue the way they have been for over 100 years, wearing their masks.
Absolutely. All right, so this is what most people consider the New York Public Library. And while it is part of the system, it is not a library where you can go in and check anything out. It is a research library, mainly for the humanities. So you do have some really lovely collections that are in there. And Katie's going to tell you about some of those.
So we do have just some treasures, like things I would expect to find in a museum. There is a First Folio Shakespeare. There's a Gutenberg Bible. Some really just incredible stuff. So some of these things are on permanent display. There are some rotating exhibits. You can actually see the flags that are up. Those will usually detail if there's anything special going on, if there's a particular collection. At one point, they had the stuffed animals that inspired the Winnie the Pooh characters on display. Like some really amazing stuff like that. I always love checking out what's here at the New York Public Library because it's free. You can just go in and see this stuff. I also recently found out, I'm still learning every day about New York. I found out that early on, in addition to moving in 1 million books and shelving and all this stuff, there was actually originally an apartment inside the New York Public Library. As wild as that sounds, someone lived in there. I love it. I think I would enjoy it.
Absolutely, you would.
So, but it was for the superintendent of the library. That was meant to be a live-in position. It's not in use anymore. It hasn't been in quite some time, but there was actually an apartment in there at one point.
How about that?
How about it? This has also been used in a lot of films, but I would say one of the ones I would say is most recognizable, Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. If you have ever seen that, they come tearing out of a big, beautiful building towards the beginning. That is the New York Public Library. And that part where they're showing them in an underground space, that is actually what the bulk of the storage for this looks like. Because while the building is very large and very beautiful, the majority of the collections are actually stored underground.
Yes.
The storage for this runs all the way underneath Bryant Park, which we're going to show you in another video. It was also the spot for Sex and the City.
Hey, for my Sex and the City fans out there, you may know this as the spot where Carrie and Big were supposed to get married in the first movie. Because Carrie said she wanted to get married amongst all the wonderful love letters of literature, which is so sappy and sentimental, and I love it, I'm not gonna lie. Also on the south side here is where they had that really dramatic scene where Charlotte beat Big with the lilies, and it's one of the coolest things ever.
It was kind of like that.
The African tribal music underscoring that scene is perfect. It should have got an Oscar, not gonna lie.
That's a stretch.
We're gonna go down around the back and meet you in Bryant Park. See you there.